Welcome to a list of mountains so strange that if someone described them to you, you'd assume they were made up. Every mountain here is unusual for a very specific reason, either because of the stories that surround it, the unexplainable things that happen there, or what might be hiding inside its core or deep in its shadows. As the list goes on, each mountain becomes more and more bizarre or unique. Mountain number 2 is a volcano that leaks neon blue fire and holds a lake of acid near its summit. Mountain number 4, located in the United States, has been tied to missing persons cases, underground city legends, and strange gatherings of spiritual groups and cults for over a century. Number 8 is so remote and so perfectly shaped that people question whether it's even natural. And to this day, no one has ever reached its summit. And the final mountain on this list, in one silent night, killed nearly 2,000 people, without warning and without leaving a single mark. So yeah, things will get pretty weird, pretty fast. But let's start with the first one. Rising out of the jungle like a black stone needle, this mountain is the exposed core of an ancient volcano, nearly vertical, wrapped in cloud, and once believed to be impossible to climb. For centuries, no one made it to the top. This is mountain number 1. This is Pico Cão Grande, a volcanic plug towering 663 meters or 2,175 feet above the rainforest floor in São Tomé and Príncipe, a small island nation off the coast of West Africa. What you're looking at is the hardened magma core of an extinct volcano. Over millions of years, the softer rock around it eroded away, leaving behind this vertical spike of basalt that looks like it doesn't belong on Earth. The mountain rises so steeply, with almost no gradual slope, that for centuries it was assumed to be unclimbable. Locals avoided it, not just because of the height, but because of the snakes. Pico Cão Grande is surrounded by a dense jungle inhabited by the highly venomous black mamba, and the few natural ledges near its base are known to shelter them. That, combined with constant rain, moss-covered rock, and sheer vertical walls, made it both logistically and physically dangerous to even approach. It wasn't until 1991 that a Japanese team finally reached the summit, marking the first known successful ascent. They spent weeks battling humidity, unstable holds, and nearly constant cloud cover. Since then, very few climbers have attempted it. The route is incredibly technical, with slick, overhanging walls, and even modern gear can't guarantee safety. There's no established trail, and the mountain is so remote that rescue is nearly impossible. Adding to the mystique, the peak is almost always shrouded in mist. Seen from a distance, it looks like a natural skyscraper hidden in the trees. But up close, it's silent, sharp, and lifeless, a dark spire rising straight out of the rainforest. It hasn't erupted in millions of years, but it still dominates the landscape like it owns it. It opens this list because of how unnatural it looks, how few people have ever reached the top, and how it was long considered impossible to climb. Pico Cão Grande is real, but it still feels like something we weren't meant to find in the jungle. Now we leave the jungle behind and head east, across oceans, through islands, and into the volcanic heart of Indonesia. Our next mountain doesn't just smoke or glow. It burns electric blue. Deep inside its crater is a toxic lake strong enough to dissolve metal, and the air itself can be deadly. This is mountain number 2. This is Kawah Ijen, a 2,385 meter or 7,825 foot stratovolcano in East Java, Indonesia, known for one of the rarest natural phenomena on Earth. At night, it burns with bright blue flames, but it's not lava. The glow comes from pure sulfur gas, escaping cracks in the crater and igniting on contact with oxygen. Some of these flames shoot up 5 meters high and flow like glowing liquid down the rock. It's one of the only places in the world where this happens, and it draws photographers, scientists, and thrill seekers who hike in before dawn to witness it in the dark. But the flames are only part of the story. Kawah Ijen also contains the largest highly acidic crater lake on the planet. Its surreal turquoise color comes from sulfuric and hydrochloric acid with a pH close to 0. Inhaling the gas without protection can burn your lungs, and any water runoff becomes toxic to rivers below. It's beautiful, but incredibly dangerous. Despite this, the crater isn't empty. Dozens of sulfur miners work inside it every day, carving bright yellow sulfur from vents and hauling it out in baskets by hand. Most carry up to 200 pounds on their backs, up 1,000 feet to the rim, then 2 miles down the slope, often without gas masks, and for only a few dollars per load. It's one of the most brutal jobs on Earth. Kawah Ijen isn't the tallest or most famous volcano in Indonesia, but it's the only one where the fire glows blue, the water is pure acid, and people still walk straight into the crater every day. That's what makes it one of the strangest mountains in the world. We leave the toxic glow of Kawah Ijen behind and head north, across oceans, and into the forests of North Carolina. Our next mountain doesn't erupt or burn, but it's been the source of unexplained lights for over 100 years. Some say it's science, others say it's something else entirely. This is mountain number 3. This is Brown Mountain, a low ridge in western North Carolina, standing just 804 meters, or 2,638 feet tall. It's not the height that makes it famous, it's what people see above it. For over a century, strange glowing orbs have been reported floating above the treetops, drifting through the valley, or hovering silently before vanishing. These aren't rare sightings. They've been observed by locals, tourists, and even scientists. The earliest written account dates back to 1913, when a local newspaper described mysterious lights moving across the mountains at night. Some witnesses describe the lights as red or orange, others say they are white or blue. They appear suddenly, often move in straight lines, then blink out or shoot into the sky. In the early 20th century, the U.S. Geological Survey investigated the phenomenon and concluded it was likely distant train or car headlights. But the sightings continued, often in places where no roads or tracks exist. People have seen the lights rise vertically from the forest floor or weave around like something controlled. Behavior headlights can't explain. Theories range from swamp gas and ball lightning to UFOs and ghost lanterns from a long-forgotten battle. In Cherokee folklore, the lights were thought to be the spirits of women searching for fallen warriors. In the early 2000s, a team of scientists set up instruments to monitor the valley. They confirmed the lights were real, but couldn't agree on a cause. Some sightings have been explained, others remain a mystery. Brown Mountain is quiet, heavily wooded, and completely ordinary by day, but by night it becomes something else, a place where unexplained lights drift across the sky, and have for over 100 years. We leave the hills of North Carolina behind and head west, over deserts, forests, and into Northern California. Rising ahead is a snow-covered volcano wrapped in myth. Our next mountain is tied to ancient civilizations, glowing clouds, and stories that have drawn in cults and spiritual pilgrims for over a century. This is mountain number 4. This is Mount Shasta, a massive stratovolcano in Northern California standing 4,322 meters, or 14,179 feet tall. It dominates the skyline for hundreds of kilometers and is one of the largest volcanic peaks in the continental United States. Geologically, it's still considered active, with its last major eruption occurring about 200 years ago. But Shasta's strangeness has less to do with lava and more to do with the people it attracts and the stories it continues to generate. Since the late 19th century, Mount Shasta has been at the center of some of the most persistent myths in North America. In 1899, a novel described an ancient, advanced civilization called Lemuria and claimed its descendants lived in vast tunnels beneath the mountain. The idea spread quickly. Over the next few decades, spiritual groups began making pilgrimages to Shasta, convinced it was a sacred site or even a portal to other realms. Today, some visitors still report encounters with tall, glowing beings said to be Lemurians, sightings of strange aircraft or unexplained lights hovering near the summit. But beyond the legends, Shasta has a long history of attracting real people who come for very real reasons. Over the past century, it's been the site of multiple spiritual communities, fringe religious groups, and even known cult activity. Missing persons cases have occurred in the area, including one that gained national attention in 2011 when a young boy claimed he was taken underground by someone who was not his real grandmother. Despite this, Shasta remains a popular hiking destination with well-maintained trails and an average of 15,000 climbers each year. But to some, it's much more than a mountain. It's a symbol, a place where geology, belief, and imagination intersect. Mount Shasta earns its place on this list because it's one of the few mountains where strange ideas have endured for over 100 years and never really gone away. We leave the forests of California behind and cross the Atlantic into the heart of the Swiss Alps. Our next mountain rises above peaceful lakes and alpine villages. But for centuries, locals feared it. Legends spoke of dragons, storms, and a ghost trapped at the summit. For a long time, just climbing it was considered dangerous and even illegal. This is mountain number 5. This is Mount Pilatus, a 2,128 meter or 6,982 foot peak overlooking Lake Lucerne in central Switzerland. Today, it's a scenic tourist destination reachable by the world's steepest cogwheel railway. But for centuries, this mountain was feared. According to local legend, dragons once lived on its slopes. In 1421, a man claimed he saw one crash near him in a storm, and when he woke, he found a strange black stone believed to have healing powers. Stories like this became common, and Pilatus was soon known as Dragon Mountain. Modern historians believe those dragon sightings may have had a real-world explanation. Some accounts, especially the 1421 incident, closely resemble meteor fireballs. The so-called dragon stone may have been an actual meteorite, misinterpreted as something supernatural. And in a time when bright lights in the sky or loud explosions were seen as omens, mountains like Pilatus became natural places to anchor those fears. The legends grew from there, but the more serious fear came from something else. The belief that Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who ordered the crucifixion of Jesus, was buried here. Locals believed his restless ghost haunted a small lake near the summit, and that disturbing the water would trigger violent storms or natural disasters. The fear was so strong that, by the 1500s, authorities banned all access to the mountain. That changed in 1585, when a group of townspeople, led by priests, climbed the mountain and threw rocks into the lake to break the curse. When nothing happened, the ban was lifted, but the mountain's eerie reputation never fully went away. Today, Mount Pilatus has restaurants, hiking trails, and panoramic views, but the stories still echo. Some say the dragons were meteors. Others say the ghost was just a way to keep people away. Either way, for centuries, this wasn't a mountain you visited. It was a mountain you avoided. Now we leave the Alpine lakes behind and head east, across forests, rivers, and into the southern Ural Mountains of Russia. Our next mountain doesn't rely on legends. It's real, restricted, and surrounded by barbed wire. For decades, no one outside the military knew what was being built beneath it. This is mountain number 6. This is Mount Yamantau, a 1,640-meter peak in the southern Ural Mountains of Russia. Its name translates to Evil Mountain in the local Bashkir language, originally a reference to the harsh terrain and frequent bear attacks in the area. But in the last few decades, that name has taken on a much more ominous meaning. Starting in the 1970s, U.S. intelligence satellites noticed something unusual around Yamantau: large-scale excavation, military rail lines leading into the mountain, and an entire town of workers being constructed nearby. The Soviet government offered vague explanations, calling it everything from a mining project to a storage facility for food or Russian treasures. But even after the Cold War ended, the construction didn't stop. In the 1990s, U.S. officials requested clarification on what was being built. Russian responses were inconsistent, and eventually, the question stopped being answered altogether. Western analysts suspect it could be a massive underground command center, perhaps even a nuclear bunker designed to survive a full-scale war. Others have tied it to Russia's rumored Dead Hand system, an automated nuclear retaliation mechanism designed to activate if the country's leadership is wiped out. None of these claims have been confirmed, and access to the area remains tightly controlled. From the outside, Yamantau doesn't look like much, just a broad forested mountain often covered in mist. But what's beneath it may be one of the most secretive installations on the planet. It's not a legend, it's not a myth, and that's what makes it even stranger. We leave the mists of the Urals behind and head south, crossing continents until we reach the hills of central Argentina. Our next mountain has become a magnet for UFO sightings, strange lights, and cult-like gatherings. At one point, it caused such a panic that the government had to shut it down. This is mountain number 7. This is Cerro Uritorco, a 1,949-meter peak in Cordoba province, Argentina. It's not particularly tall or geologically unique, but for decades, it's been considered one of the most paranormally active places in South America. The mountain became internationally known in 1986, after reports of a glowing UFO hovering above it spread through local media. The next morning, scorched vegetation was found on a nearby ridge called El Pajarillo, a massive oval-shaped burn mark with no clear cause. No signs of fire, no lightning strikes, no footprints, just flattened, blackened earth. The event, now called the Huella del Pajarillo, was never fully explained, and it triggered a wave of interest that never really faded. Since then, Cerro Uritorco has become a hotspot for UFO believers, spiritual seekers, and conspiracy theorists. Many claim to have seen glowing orbs, hovering craft, or humanoid figures near the summit. Some believe there's a hidden underground city beneath the mountain, known as Urks, supposedly inhabited by interdimensional beings who contact humans through dreams or meditation. It's a mix of modern myth, tourism, and genuine mystery, and it's deeply embedded in local culture. The attention reached a new peak in 2012 during the hysteria over the supposed end of the Mayan calendar. A Facebook group proposed organizing a mass spiritual suicide on top of the mountain to transcend the physical world. Authorities responded by completely closing access to Uritorco for several days, not because they believed the claims, but because they feared people would take them seriously. Despite the strange stories, Cerro Uritorco remains open today and draws thousands of visitors each year. Some come to hike, others to search the sky. Either way, it's become one of the few mountains in the world where myth and mystery aren't just old legends. They're still being written. We leave the lights of Uritorco behind and head northwest, deep into the Amazon basin of eastern Peru. Surrounded by untouched rainforest, the next mountain rises in perfect symmetry, with no range around it and no record of anyone ever reaching the summit. Some believe it's natural, others aren't so sure. This is mountain number 8. This is Cerro El Cono, a sharply defined peak rising approximately 400 meters, or 1,312 feet, from the dense rainforest of eastern Peru's Sierra del Divisor National Park. Unlike most mountains, it doesn't sit among a range. It stands entirely alone, a steep, near-perfect cone jutting up from flat jungle with almost unnatural symmetry. From satellite imagery, it looks like a misplaced pyramid in a sea of trees. There are no connected ridgelines, no visible erosion slopes, and no sign of a trail leading to the summit. Its origin remains uncertain. Some geologists believe it could be a volcanic plug, the hardened interior of an ancient volcano whose outer layers eroded over time. Others suggest it may be the resistant core of a once larger formation, gradually exposed by wind and rain. But due to its extreme remoteness, the mountain has never been formally studied in depth. There are no published geological surveys, no recorded expeditions to the summit. To the local indigenous communities, Cerro El Cono isn't just a mountain. It's an apu, a sacred being. In many Andean and Amazonian traditions, apus are mountain spirits believed to watch over the land. Some locals believe El Cono holds spiritual power, or protects something hidden beneath. The lack of exploration only adds to its mystery. As far as documented records show, no one has ever stood at the top. No climbers, no researchers, nothing but tree cover and clouds. It doesn't appear on many official maps, and it's rarely mentioned outside of satellite imagery and conservation reports. Whether it's a quirk of erosion or something else entirely, it remains one of the most visually unusual and least understood landforms in South America. We leave the Amazon behind and cross the Atlantic one final time, into the volcanic highlands of Cameroon. Our last mountain is capped by a deep blue crater lake, still, quiet, and completely unassuming. But what happened here, in 1986, remains one of the strangest and deadliest natural disasters in recorded history. This is mountain number 9. This is Mount Nyos, a dormant volcano in northwestern Cameroon, rising 1,091 meters, or 3,579 feet above sea level. At the top is a calm crater lake surrounded by farmland and small villages. On the morning of August 22, 1986, those villages fell silent. Rescue teams arrived to a scene that made no sense. More than 1,700 people were dead, most of them still in bed, some lying beside cooking fires, others mid-step in open fields. Livestock had collapsed in herds. Birds and insects were gone, but there was no damage, no ash, no flames, no sign of violence, just silence and bodies. At the center of it all was Lake Nyos, still and strangely discolored. No one knew what had happened. Some believed it was poison, others feared a chemical attack. For weeks, the cause remained unknown. Eventually, scientists uncovered the answer. Deep beneath the lake, carbon dioxide had been seeping in from a magma pocket for decades, building up at the bottom under intense pressure. On that night, something triggered it, possibly a landslide or a sudden drop in temperature, and the gas erupted all at once. It rose through the water, spilled over the crater rim, and rolled into the valleys below. Being heavier than air, the cloud hugged the ground, invisible, silent, and deadly. Anyone within 25 kilometers simply suffocated. Mount Nyos didn't erupt with lava. It didn't collapse or explode. It just exhaled once, and in a matter of minutes, nearly 2,000 people were gone. What looks like a peaceful crater is now one of the deadliest lakes on the planet. After all of this, one question remains. Which mountain do you think was the most bizarre? And if you know of a strange mountain I didn't include, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Also check out my other stuff. Thanks for watching.